You don't need me to tell you why Black Americans are choosing to leave America in an even larger number now than before. If you're watching this video, it's probably because you've been considering it too. Hi, I'm Rashida, and I lead a community of 20,000 Black women who have already left the US or are on their way now. I've also been coaching people one-on-one who want to leave the US for the last 5 years. If you're not sure how to pick a place to move to because there are so many countries in the world, one thing to consider is where there are other communities of Black American expats. Now, I'm not saying go somewhere solely because there are Black Americans there. If you watched my last video about mistakes people make when they're moving abroad, you'll see that I think that by itself is a mistake. But should it not be a factor? I think for most of us, it should be somewhat of a factor. It's nice to be among Black American expats if you are a Black American, because you can get a sense of community, you can get a sense of home, you can get a hairdresser's phone number. So let me tell you 7 cities that Black Americans are leaving the US for and why they're going there. Okay, I'm going to give you my list of 7 cities first, so if you don't want to watch this whole video, you don't have to. Although, you should. You should get to the end. While I'm reading off this list, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so that you can know when my next video comes out and what I'm talking about. It will be about moving abroad. Promise you that. Okay, the list of cities. First, Lisbon, Portugal. Next up, Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm on my way to Mexico next. I picked a few different cities: Puerto Vallarta, Merida, Playa del Carmen, and Mexico City. Next, Panama City, Panama. Then Cuenca, Ecuador, Chiang Mai, Thailand, and I moved on to the Caribbean as the last of my 7 places, and I'm including Jamaica and Barbados together, and I'll tell you all why later. It's disclaimer time. Now, these are not the 7 cities with the largest Black expat population in the world, because how would you measure that? These are not the 7 cities that are best for Black Americans, because we're not all alike and we don't all want the same thing, so I can't say that. What I'm telling you is 7 cities that are growing in popularity right now and that have Black expat communities that I think you'll enjoy. Lisbon, Portugal, number 1 on the list. People love Portugal. Black people love Portugal. Black Americans moving abroad love Portugal. Rick and Halisi from Our Black Utopia have a huge community of people who want to move to Portugal. Krishan from Blacksit Global also lives in Portugal and has a huge community as well. If you're interested in Portugal, you should definitely be watching their videos and subscribe to their channels. But wait here for a minute. We're gonna keep going. So Portugal is a cultural hub. It has a vibrant nightlife, a rich history, some good, some bad, but rich all the same. It's a very cute city, charming architecture, those tiles on the walls, on the outside of the buildings, gorgeous. It is on, Portugal itself is on the ocean, so they have great beaches. If you want to leave Lisbon and go to like a true beach town, you can do that. Some of the cons: it is getting more popular, and so the prices are rising, and it can get a little crowded with tourists in the peak season. Moving on to Africa. Johannesburg is on my list. Johannesburg is pretty much going to be on like any list I make because I love it. It is a city I would, if I move away from Mexico City, or if I become bicontinental, I think I would have another home in Johannesburg. Pro Blackness, right? Like, it's a Black city. Now, there are other cities on the continent that are significantly less Black, some in South Africa, but Johannesburg is not that. I love it there. I love being able to be freely Black without boundaries in the way that I might feel them in the US. Now, as a I want to be perfectly transparent about this. One of the cons, blackouts, right? Like their electrical infrastructure is questionable sometimes. A bigger con as a Black woman is that crimes against women are rampant. Now, as a foreigner, I've never felt unsafe there, and I've been there 4 or 5 times, I think. Who knows? But I think it's a bigger problem within the locals, and I don't want to diminish what that means for women living in that society. I mentioned Johannesburg in my last video where I spoke specifically about the cost of living and good cities to be in for the cost of living. I will link to that one up here, maybe up here, I never know. Up next, moving on to Mexico. I live in Mexico. I've lived in Mexico City for 5 years. I love it here. Every time I come to Mexico, I love it. The cities I want you to think about are Puerto Vallarta, Merida, Playa del Carmen, and Mexico City. Merida is the second safest city in North America with generally a low cost of living. It's great for families and retirees. It is also becoming more expensive as more foreigners move in and it increases in popularity. Mexico City, where I live, vibrant city. So much to do. It's a great city for people who want to stay active and love big city life. If you don't love big city life, don't do it to yourself. Don't force it, right? Like that is Cinderella's shoe trying to get on one of her ugly stepsisters. If you don't love city life, it's a city, right? It's not a play city. It's a for real city. You got to know what you're getting into. Playa del Carmen and Puerto Vallarta are both beach cities that have a really great mix of tourists coming in. That means that both of them can sometimes feel a little transient, like people may not stay there for very long, particularly Playa del Carmen. But if you love the beach and you want a city where there may be a higher degree of English spoken because of a high tourist population, it's a great choice for you. Okay, next on the list, Panama City. I just talked about Panama City in another video I did about 3 cities that are easy landings for Americans, and I go back and watch that one if you haven't. Panama City is an easy landing. It's the top of my easy landing list. They use the US dollar, right? They have infrastructure that you're familiar with. It is an easy place to get around. When I was making my list for this video, I was thinking about cons for Panama City and I couldn't think of any. If you don't like the heat, that's a con. I don't really love the heat. I would not live in Panama City because I don't really love the heat. I like a real nice temperate climate. Tell by the sweater. Boom. So it's not for me, but if you don't mind the heat and humidity, Panama City. Next on my list, Cuenca, Ecuador. Cuenca is a smaller city. It's got a growing group of mature expats that are moving there and loving it. Black women 60 plus are loving it in Cuenca. So I think it's something that you should consider. If you're looking at a retirement destination, definitely look at Cuenca. The con is that it's a smaller city. Not for me. Maybe for you, not for me. Different strokes for different folks, and that is what makes the world go round. So, you know, if you love it, I love it for you. Okay, 5th on my list, number 6. I can count. Number 6 on my list, Chiang Mai, Thailand. Chiang Mai is another place I would consider living full-time. It's very expat friendly. It has welcoming locals and a great Black community there. When I was there, they did Sunday dinner every week. You didn't have to come to Sunday dinner, but if you wanted to, there was always a time during the week where Black expats could get together. I will link to the group that hosts it in the description, and to other groups for Black people moving to those places in the comments for each of the cities we're listing, each of the cities or countries I'm listing. I'll list a Facebook group in the comments. All right. Um, the problem with Chiang Mai is that if you need to work remotely or you need to work with people on the US in any US time zones, it can be challenging because there's generally from the East Coast a 12-hour time difference, which makes it really hard to work if you got to go to, a 2 p.m. meeting in East Coast time is like a 2 a.m. meeting in Thailand. And I'm not built for 2 a.m. meetings. I don't know about you. Like 40 plus is not for me at all. Another thing is that Thai isn't the easiest language to learn, and it's also not very portable. And what I mean by that is it's not used outside of Thailand unless you're in a Thai community, right? That's different than Spanish. With the countries I mentioned before, Spanish is spoken in a lot of places around the globe. So what you learn in Panama, you can take to Ecuador. What you learn in Thailand, you can take to a Thai community in another country, but not necessarily to like a whole other country. Because Thai isn't very transportable, learning Thai isn't going to give you the same bang for your buck that learning Spanish would, or even learning Arabic would. Last on my list, the Caribbean. A lot of people cross it off the list because they vacation there. We know how expensive it is. But I want you to consider that vacationing and living somewhere are different experiences, right? So I know a number of people who've moved to Jamaica and moved to Barbados and really, really enjoy it there. Moved to Grenada, love it there. Our speaker, Zoe, who's spoken at 2 Exodus Summits before, and I'll link to her below. She's lived in Grenada for a long time, loves it, raising her kids there, great experience. You got in the Caribbean, the beaches, you got the relaxed pace. Con, depending on where you live, it may not have the infrastructure that you're used to in America. What are you gonna do? All right, so if you're a Black expat considering leaving the US, if you're a Black expat, and specifically if you're a Black woman considering leaving the US, or if you're just curious about the options available, I hope this video gave you a starting point of things to consider. If you want more help picking a place for you, Exodus Summit has a quiz. You can find it at exodussummit.com/quiz, and this quiz will help you pick places that may be good places for you to move to. And if you need a little bit more help, a little more hands-on help coming up with a plan to move abroad, I've got something so exciting for you. Stephanie Perry and I just launched our membership, and this membership will help you move abroad. There's going to be community, there are accountability groups, there are courses, there is coaching. There is so much in that group, and we're so excited for all of you that are going to join us in it. You can get the link to that down below. It's called Exodus ASAP, and we are so excited to have you in it. Until the next video, or until I see you in the membership, which our first drop is tomorrow. If you're watching this video when it comes live, our first drop is tomorrow. So I can't wait to see all you guys in there and see you grow, see your plan come to life, and see you make a plan that gets you abroad ASAP. Exodus ASAP. I'll drop the link in the description below. And if you have comments, if you have been thinking about these 7 cities, if you've been thinking about leaving the US, let me know what's going on in your brain in the comments below. All right, see you later. Bye.